Welcome back, Coach's Corner, this week featuring Ponca City High School tennis. We've talked with boys coach Brad Larimer. We welcome in Larry Williams, our girls Ponca City High School tennis coach, and a very familiar face around Ponca City tennis circles. How many years now for you as our girls coach, Larry?
This is my third year, but you've probably seen me around the USTA events, and I teach the summer program for the summer rec, and so yeah, Sharmy and I've been around a long time doing this.
I was going to say, if it's not Larry, it's Sharmy,
yeah,
because
exactly right.
They are probably, along with a few others, the late Wally Smith, and then Big Daddy.
Bargers, people like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. They've been involved in Ponca City tennis for a long, long time. How's the team looking this year, Larry?
Well, we are improved this year. We've spent 3 years working at that situation with the summer rec program and some of the kids growing up and things like that. When we inherited it 3 years ago, it just was not there. We had none of the girls knew how to play. So we are improved. We've picked up on our #1 doubles team 2 girls, Gabriella Langston and Taylor Whitefield, that have played before. Gabby played when she was young, and then she quit for a while, and then she's come back. And Taylor Whitefield played from starting about the 5th or 6th grade. And they've taken lessons from pros and things like that, so it makes a difference. So we're going to be stronger there. Megan Carey plays '1. Megan is the right fielder for the softball team, and she could be a all-stater if she gets her batting going. She's a good kid. And Blair Didlake, I think you interviewed her at the basketball game, and Blair's a good kid, and she hadn't picked up a racket since she was like 7 or 8 until about 2 years ago. And saw her at the Jinx tournament when we went over there a week ago Saturday, and though she only won 1 match out of 4, greatly improved. I'm impressed with what Blair was doing. And then we've got Sarah Allison and Natalie Baldwin right now at the '2 doubles, and they, again, were 8th graders that really didn't know how to play, and they picked up the rackets there in their freshman year and have greatly improved. So, yeah.
You mentioned Jinx. Is that the only event you've played so far?
We have, because we've had snowouts and rainouts. We were going to go to Bartlesville for a JV tournament. We have a stronger JV team this year, and we had a junior high tournament last week, and that was going to be on Tuesday, and as you know, we had this much snow, and so we had to cancel that.
Everybody's got these indoor facilities. What do you all do when it snows, Larry?
Well, for team practice, we have a room during basketball season and wrestling season where we go and we can get to condition, and I have stairs next to this room, so we run stairs and do all type of core activities and things like that to keep them in shape. Now that basketball and wrestling are over, we do get a gym, so we'll go in there and hit and do some things in there.
Girls tennis. I don't know how to emphasize this, so I'm going to let you. It's really, really good, and it's really, really competitive, isn't it? The competition for these kids to have to go into. We're seeing more and more players become factors at the next level, the college level, because the talent's so great.
Yeah, and the thing that we run into, and to an extent Brad does with the boys, is that the teams that we play that are really good, some of your Edmond schools, some of your Tulsa schools, Enid, places like that, have youth that have started at 8 or 9 years old, maybe younger, and they've had professional lessons, and the parents have been able to afford that situation, and so they're pretty polished by the time that we meet them, and so it's hard for us to win tournaments or even place in state or something like that. Brad I'm fortunate. We've got a couple, 2 or 3 girls that are taking lessons. We have a pro at the club. I don't belong to the club, but they have a pro at the club that they work with. And then Brad has his top 2 boys, the Langstons, who are exceptional. One of them goes to Edmond and practices, and then they also take from the pro. So you have to do that, and the parents have to invest money. I don't know if it's like golf or anything else, but it's a kind of an enigma sport in that you really have to do that to get ahead. I was sitting by a parent yesterday at the OSU and OU girls Bedlam match, and he was from Edmond, and he was talking about it, and he has realized this. He has a 13-year-old daughter that's in junior high, and in Edmond, or in Moore, I'm sorry, and he's realized that he's going to have pros work with her if she's going to go and be on the top level in high school. But with all these pros that do work with them, you're seeing some girls that do move on to like OU or OSU. But I will say one thing, Phil, is that most of your college teams, your top teams, are dominated by foreign players. Neither here nor there, wrong or right, but they are dominated by the foreign players. There's a Whitney, one of the girls for OU yesterday, the number one girl, was from Edmond, and they have a girl named Ann Pepper that came from Edmond that's also on their team. I don't know if OSU has, they have two Americans on their team that are in the top 6, but most of your depth and your top players are foreign players.
Larry Williams, our guest, our girls tennis coach, and you and I have talked about this a lot, but in a town like Ponca City where a lot of kids play a lot of different sports and girl athletes are the same, it's hard for them to specialize, and a lot of these kids that play for Jinx or Union or Edmond, that's the sport they play year-round, so that's another battle you have.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, Blair Didlake plays volleyball. She used to play basketball, so Blair's and Megan on the top 6 are two of them that we have. And we brought one girl in that plays JV, or going to be playing JV some, that had played volleyball, I believe. So, yeah, you do battle that situation, and there is a specialization that just goes on, and you're exactly right.
And it comes down to numbers, too. I mean, you know, they have the numbers, we don't have the numbers,
yeah, that's
so...
true.
Is your lineup set? Do you mess with it during the season? How does that work for Larry Williams?
We have challenges. We started challenges this year. That's kind of a strict challenge situation, and we only have about 2 more weeks of challenges because we want to have it set for April and then going into regionals. So, yes, it's somewhat set. No, there could be a few changes, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. I won't say it's totally set yet.
You keep that little bit of carrot out there in front of them so they can keep practicing hard. That
right, sure.
What do you got this week, Larry?
We've got a junior high tournament tomorrow. I think Brad mentioned that when he was on here, and I'm not exactly sure what teams are coming. And then we've got Thursday, we have a JV tournament here in Ponca City, and then we take the week off for spring break. We will have practice during spring break, which I'm just informing the girls now. Then we hit it pretty hot and heavy. I think there's 3 days that I'm gone the week after spring break the whole day, and one of them's JV, one of them is JV, one of them's varsity, and one of them's junior high. So
you miss a little school this time of year, don't you?
Yeah, and they're making modifications on that with the OSSAA. I don't know whether it's because of us or because of the kids, but next year, as opposed to playing 14 varsity matches, we'll only be playing, I believe it's 7 or 8 is the top limit for the varsity, which means I think that's going to go to more of a Saturday tournament situation than during the week. So we'll have to find out how that filters out. But I think golf and tennis are both going to be included in that situation. And the other little tidbit is that someplace down the line, I really think that you're going to have a class division like football's doing, where we go like 6A. 2, or there's a 7A power schools with Edmond and Union and Jinx, etc., and then the Enids and the Stillwaters, things like that.
There's a lot of debate about that, Larry, and it doesn't matter whether it's football or whether it's tennis. It's still there. There's still a wide gap between the number of kids they have to choose from and the number of kids that you have just because kids play in other sports. So I'm assuming that would be good for our program.
I think it would be. Brad and I and his brother Mike, who I think you know, have all pushed that and voted for having this split. I think it's going to come naturally after a couple of years, if nothing else. I think that they're balking a little bit at the OSSAA until they really are kind of forced to do it. Maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but that's kind of my opinion, and I know if you ask Brad, he'd say the very same thing, that at some point, they're probably going to say, yeah, every sport's going to have that, because there are major advantages for those big Tulsa schools and the big Edmond schools and things like that. So, but bless their hearts, at least the Edmond and the Moore schools split some.
Right. Jinx and Union don't.
Yeah, that was my editorial comment.
And mine too. So, hey, good to see you. Good luck this season. Larry Williams, our girls tennis coach on this.
Can I say one thing, Phil? We're going to say one thing. I would like to also thank Phil and Craig Van Ness for all their work over the years. A lot of people don't realize this, but they've done over 2,000 broadcasts of basketball alone, besides wrestling. And Phil also does a little bit of OSU baseball and things like that. So they're the top broadcasters in the state as far as I'm concerned, and I work with them. Travel with them a little bit doing photography in the fall. So I will put that in. Great guys.
I appreciate that.
Sure.
Your pictures are great too. We've seen them in the newspaper, and that's kind of a labor of love for you, isn't it?
It is a labor of love. You and I know that situation.
I do know that situation. Let me tell you, the big bucks aren't there for Mr. Williams as he goes out. But it's fun to take pictures of those kids.
Yeah.
Larry, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Larry Williams, our girls tennis coach on Coach's Corner.